Good day, my fellow Canadians. Like that? I was going through all my old bits and pieces and I found my old lid from way back when. I watched a disturbing video. Chris Sky, anybody familiar with the Toronto anti-maskers and protest scene is familiar with Chris Sky. He's bold, he's brash, he's mouthy, but he ain't wrong. And he posted a video. He went to fly somewhere and he's on a no-fly list. The kind of things you put terrorists on, hardcore criminals, drug dealers. And he's on a no-fly list. He was taken off the manifest. Expect probably to see a lawsuit over this. I went to the anti-lockdown protest at Yonge and Dundas, at Dundas Square. And I saw more cops than were at the Danforth terror attack. The Danforth shooting had fewer cops on scene than there were at this protest. Peaceful protest. Nobody was violent. Nobody was smashing windows, overturning cars, setting businesses on fire. None of that. They were protesting the lockdown measures. Now, agree, disagree. We do have the right as Canadians to gather and to protest. And the lockdowns are not enshrined. They're not law. I think it was Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, the lockdowns haven't worked. The 2 weeks to flatten the curve is almost a year now, if not a year. And it's time that they re-examine. I mean, look at Florida, look at Texas. There's so many things I'm not going to get into, like herd immunity and T-cell immunity and all this. I'm not going to get into that. The evidence is out there. But what is absolutely clear is the lockdowns are not working. That is irrefutable. And the damage being done by the lockdowns economically and in terms of human suffering are worse than anything that the COVID would produce. That's being kept very quiet. The thing that bothers me deeply, if the cure is worse than the disease, it's time to revisit the cure, don't you think? But there was one very positive note for which I think all Canadians should be very happy. I personally am amazed that I'm living in miraculous times. We've cured the flu. I mean, we must have, because nobody is getting the flu. My wife and I had a cold, but I don't know anybody who's getting the flu. The normal flu deaths that came every season, nobody's getting the flu. We've cured the flu. Isn't that amazing? So when I was at the protest at Yonge and Dundas, I saw all these cops. And what is going on there with the police showing up at Queen's Park, showing up at Yonge and Dundas Square? What's going on in Calgary with the police showing up at Artur Pawlowski's church? It's over 1 million hits on that one. What the law enforcement agencies are doing, the police are doing, at the direction of the politicians, is criminal. Now, there are police who are protesting. There's On Guard for Thee. Hasn't got enough legs yet, but there are a lot of policemen who remember the oath they took. They understand the difference between law and morality. They understand their oath to serve and protect. But serve and protect whom? Because what they're doing is not serving and protecting the citizenry. They're serving and protecting their political masters. That moves you from the field of a law enforcement agency and into the realm of Gestapo. and secret police, and the police as an agency of the state. And I would urge every police officer out there to reread the oath they took when they donned the uniform, when they took up a badge and a gun. Reread the oath you took, and then look into your heart and ask if what you're doing is moral. What's going on, for those who don't get it, and I've watched this all over the place, the cops who threatened a kid with a taser for skating on a pond, the Young and Dundas, the actions of the police there, grabbing up people. Australia is dreadful, what's going on there. What's going on is not a question of you're breaking the law and you're going to be taken to task for it. What is going on, if you're unaware of it, and I know exactly because I've seen it before in a smaller setting, what's going on is violated ego. Not on the part of the police, but on the part of the politicians. Essentially, the attitude is, who the hell do you think you are to defy me? You smelly little nobody. I am the mayor of Toronto. I speak for Toronto City Council. I am the premier of the province. And they direct the police to punish the people who dare to defy the authorities. And that's all it is. There's no reason. There's no, maybe you have a point, maybe we should sit down. Have a politician show up, say, look, folks, we understand that this is difficult times for all of us. Well, it's not for the politicians. What politician do you think is missing a paycheck? The whole thing about the public service, any public service, firefighters, cops, politicians, are not missing any paychecks. But our economy is taking a serious nosedive. So I'm watching the police, watching the actions they do. Like I said, Chris Sky being put on a no-fly list. That is punitive in the extreme. There's no legal justification for this. There's no moral justification for this. This is right back to what I said about who do you think you are? And it's the naked exercise of power. I can't arrest you, but I can inconvenience you. I can punish you. I can hand out massive fines. I can hand out tickets. I can force you to take time to go through court, to spend money, to get legal representation, to fight this. This is what we can do to punish you, even if we're going to lose. The government loves this. They will fine you or charge you, even when they know they're going to lose. It's called lawfare. We have no hope of winning this. But if you hope to stay out of jail, you're going to have to hire a lawyer out of your pocket. Whereas the Crown, of course, is paid by the public purse. So it costs them nothing to lay a charge or to pursue criminal action against you or pursue legal action against you. They get paid, doesn't matter what. You have to dig into your pocket to fight it. And God help you if you're poor, because you can wind up being a good, solid citizen and still wind up in jail and with a criminal record. And I hate lawfare for that very reason. It violates the spirit and the intent of the law. And to use the police, who are so reliant upon their image for public cooperation, to damage that for the sake of a violated ego. Because damaged it is. Anybody who remembers High River, Alberta, there's literally hundreds of thousands of Albertans and people from Saskatchewan and people from Manitoba, where the RCMP are the premier law enforcement agency. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who don't trust the police, will not willingly cooperate with the police, even when it has no impact on them. They just don't like the cops anymore, and they don't trust the cops anymore. That fractured trust bond the RCMP has done to itself. High River is a perfect example. The RCMP is a shame. And again, a politicized police force. You start politicizing the police force, the goodwill of the public upon which they rely to do their job effectively is eroded, if not actually eliminated. Now, I've seen cops do little private protests, deliberately put like the wrong name on a ticket, deliberately put wrong information on the ticket, knowing that it will get tossed if it goes to court. They will not show up for court. I forgot. And the ticket is tossed if the officer, the arresting officer or the issuing officer doesn't show up. And those are the little protests the police can do. Moral police officers who remember their oath and remember what their job truly is. Not to be an agency of the politicians, but to be a force protecting society, not the will of the politicians, society. The problem, of course, is the violated self-will. They will attack, and especially with police officers. It's not what's on your jacket, in your personnel file. There's the back chat that goes on. One sergeant talking to another sergeant. Yeah, the guy does everything by the book, but he's a maverick. Your hopes for promotion are dashed. Your hopes of moving up the ladder are dashed. You're going to get shitty assignments constantly. So they don't kick you off the force because they can't, but they will make your life difficult. Deny you promotion, which you are due. So you might make it to first class constable, knowing full well that you're going to retire as a first class constable. You'll never be a corporal, you'll never be a sergeant. You'll never make detective or inspector. That's off the table. And I know of a situation where there was a cop who blew the whistle on fellow cops, and that's what happened to him. Nothing legal they could do against him, but he blew the whistle on illegal activities by police officers. I also knew a police officer, I mentioned it before. They wanted him to go for rank. He said, no, I want to do my job as a police officer. I don't want to be a politician. Yeah, it's more money in your pension, but he deliberately stalled his career at the position he was in so he could be a good cop. He said, as soon as you become a sergeant, you're already into the political field, and you go any higher, politics are a big part of your job. No longer law enforcement, it's politics. So my point to this, civil disobedience, even acceptable civil disobedience, is going to be punished. And again, not because you're a threat or a menace to society. That's the excuse they use. Oh, you're putting society at risk. You're putting people at risk. No, it's not. That's a load of horse puckies. That's a garbage justification. What it is, and all it is violated ego. At that lofty position that they hold in society, that a little person should dare defy them, should dare call them out, should dare question the orders you were given. It's unacceptable. Who do you think you are? You nobody. Don't you know who I am? And that to me is probably one of the most disgusting elements of all this now. So people, the more people that stand up, the more people that say, no, this is unacceptable, the more people that band together and show up in larger and larger groups and support those who are protesting these harsh, draconian, and ineffectual measures, the more people who show up, the more helpless the authorities are in the face of true mass civil disobedience. And they will have to bend to the will of the people, which is the point, because they are elected not to rule the people, but to represent the people and to be the voice of the people. And they've forgotten that. But you my fellow Canadians. You are the people. And you, my fellow Canadians, you are the ones who have a say in your destiny and your future. Remember that. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.